Welcome to the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast with your host, hailing from Echeconnee, Wisconsin, riding a CST Tires SSI decals traveling back Yamaha YFC 450R, four-time ATV Motocross National Champion, number 25, Cody Jansen.
What's up, everybody?
We're back.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, episode 174 of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, CST Tires, in stock and available for purchase today at shop.csttires.com. I'm your host, Cody Jansen, saying hello to our more than 297,000 monthly Digging Deep listeners in all 141 countries in which you are listening, and this episode has it all. The legend Mike Walsh is back and nothing is off limits. From breaking down the current season, including what he saw at the opener at Deckers and what's ahead at Echeconnee, to rolling back the years with stories of Digger Doug Gust, Joe Byrd, and the kind of racing moments that never fade. This is one of my favorite episodes in a while, so let's dive right in. But first, let's quickly shout out all of our incredible partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, DP Brakes, and Ultimate Poly Products. UPP Racing, our choice when it comes to case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com. Support all the great companies that support us, and for any products that fall through the cracks, click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. The season is officially here. The amateur season opener is this weekend, but there are things that you and your machine always need. No matter what off-road gear parts you need, Rocky Mountain ATVMC has you covered. But before you buy, simply click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. Using our specific link, we get a percentage of what you buy on the back end, enabling you to help us out while purchasing the parts you need anyway. And did you know you can buy OEM parts from Rocky Mountain ATVMC as well? Yep, shipped conveniently right to your door. So click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com to help us out while satisfying all your gear and parts needs. Shout out to all of our donors over the years. Now, if you are interested in donating and hearing your name on the show, you can find the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee donation links on our website. Major thanks to all who have donated, of course. Now, if you can't donate, but you still want to help us out, you can leave us a rating or a review on iTunes and Spotify, because that helps us out a bunch too. Now, it's showtime. The 30-second board is up, it's sideways, and the gate is down. Time to dig deep.
Let's go!
All right, guys, brought to you by our friends at Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply. We welcome back an absolute legend of the sport in every sense of the word. Mr. Mike Walsh joins us tonight. Mikey, welcome back to the show, pal. Thanks for making a little time for us.
Yeah, I love to be here, man. I'm excited.
So, Mikey, how are things at Walsh? It's an exciting, busy time. It always is this time of year. We got the amateur season opener coming up this weekend. Pro season opener was a couple weeks back. So, busy time for you guys. What's going on down there?
It is a busy time. We're experiencing some changes, I think, in the industry, in the economy, and not just of the economy of ATV racing, but just in the U.S. economy. And, I did end up hitting the first race, and I'm going to hit the second race. So blessed to be able to do that and spend time with those guys and watch the riders ride. I love doing that. It's one of my favorite things to do. Down here, we're working, we're fabbing, we're machining, we're riding, we're building tracks, We're doing a little bit of everything, getting to fellowship with some cool people. A couple of people come down to the shop. I saw Chad. I saw a lot of good faces down here. I saw Chad recently. That's on the top of my mind. I saw Gary. He's been down from Phoenix. So
okay, nice.
Everything's been good.
Awesome, man. Yeah, like I said, I know it's always an exciting and busy time for you guys right now. You mentioned some of the pro stuff, and you were at the first race, and then kind of going into the amateur, season opener this weekend, which means you got all kinds of amateur stuff going on too, I'm assuming, and all kinds of stuff for those guys. I mean, it's their Super Bowl is the first race of the year. You know how that goes as both a racer and a team guy. And then in your role, building parts, there's a lot that goes into the off season for these amateurs too. And we got guys stepping up to new classes and things like that. It's just, it's always an exciting time. And like I said, about that as a racer too, where, that amateur season opener or season opener as a pro, but an amateur season opener too, everybody wants to show their new stuff. Everybody wants to not just like product, but everybody wants to show off what they cooked up for themselves in the off season too. Everybody wants to hit the ground running. And it's that old saying of you kind of have one chance, one opportunity to make a first impression, I guess. And it kind of the same can be said about each season where like everybody, depending on whether you're back home somewhere where it's cold or, down somewhere like at Deckers, and there's a lot of growth that goes on in the off season and everybody wants to show what they got coming into the season opener. And that's kind of what we got for a lot of amateur guys this weekend. And we talked up and down about the pro class, Deckers, and I probably sound like a broken record, but it's a little bit of an outlier. You were there, you saw it firsthand. It's a whole different ball game when it's like been everybody's practice track or a portion of the guys' practice tracks. Now we're going to a track at Echeconnee where not only is Echeconnee as gnarly as it gets, but it's also just not a track everybody's been practicing on. And that kind of changes the math a little bit.
Yeah, well, you bring up a couple of really good points. When you're talking about the amateur opener, you're going to see more progression out of an amateur than a pro because, right, pros have been through it. They're making small. I mean, the only huge one I ever seen primarily was the Chad Wienen jump. He was average, and then he was
not
something nobody's ever seen. Right. But sometimes that happens in the amateur field where you don't hear of a guy, you've never seen a guy, and he puts in the hard work and he puts in the work off the machine, on the machine. He puts in the work to the machine and he comes out and he's a top player. I mean, I know the rider that Chad's working with, I know he made quite, he made quite the statement, Deckers.
Sure looked like it, man. And I was actually going to say, Mike, that I think we see that most growth now from the 250 to the 450, because sometimes, some of these guys, you can really shine on a 250 and then not on a 450 and vice versa. You can kind of have the cork on the 250. And then when you get on the 450, it's wide open, so many opportunities and possibilities. And I think that right off the bat, I think that we're going to kind of see that from Andrix. We saw it already at Deckers, like you said.
Well, and and that's a great point because a lot of these guys have terrible 250 programs because the program, right, is harder to build. You're working with a hybrid. You're working with not quite up to par suspension a lot of times. Where you get on a 450, now you have the availability almost of what the top pros have.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. I'm really excited to see what those kids look like. The Seiler Produznaks, like you just said, Andrix Bieland, those guys that are moving up from the 250. It's always so fun to see where they stack up. And those guys are going to be in I think the Pro-Am and Pro Sport classes, and going to be really fun to see what those kids got in store. So I was going to ask you, about the opener a little bit, about Echeconnee coming up, amateur season opener. We talked about riders that we might be looking at to kind of watch there at the opener. So let's talk about that opener a little bit, because for the pros, some things were as expected, right? You would have expected Joel to be out front and do his thing at the Triple Crown, all those things. It was awesome to see Zach Decker, another Walsh guy, get his first podium, right? That was really cool. I think we expected a lot. I kept saying we expected a lot from him, and he delivered. And Max Lindquist put on another great ride. Mason Jackson's proven he's always going to be in the mix. Tell me a little bit of what you saw there at Deckers for the season opener, pal.
Well, I think, honestly, the collaboration which I love, but what that Zach and Joel had at Deckers, I mean, that's going to be hard. That's hard to penetrate because, Joel's been there. He's year after year. Zach's been there year after year. They ride well together. They work well together. They enjoy each other's company. They feed off of each other, and look at that 1-2. I mean, so is Zach going to back it up at Echeconnee? I hope so. I really expected a little bit more out of Mason Jackson, to be honest. I really am a big silent Mason Jackson fan. I say silent because I don't really collaborate. I don't really work personally with the team. I do work with Tim Detling, more and spend a little more time with him, but they're kind of, they're doing what they do. And he had very strong performance last year, numerous ones, battles with Chad Wienen right down to the wire. I think he even beat him a couple of times. So I expect Mason Jackson to really have a very strong ride at Echeconnee. Now, Brandon Hogue, you're not going to keep him down. He had a rough start. Deckers did not treat him well. And it wasn't that Deckers didn't. It was just, I think, first year program syndrome where, they have a collaboration with Williams Performance Engines and the engine tuner and Brandon and Rastrelli Racing. And all of those are top name people in the industry. But, they haven't worked together before, or they may have, but may not. But now you get them all together, working together at a very high level. They had a couple issues. I'm sure they'll bounce back. I'm sure they'll be a threat for the podium. Heck, they could. Brandon's got the speed. If the stars are aligned, he could be up there. I don't want to say battling with Joel because I can't do that to Joel because Joel's my guy. But hopefully, but it was a great. As small as it was, or as smaller than it has been, we'll say.
Yep.
It actually punched it really had a big impact. There was some killer races, man. It was great. And, you had Damian Hubert, who's a first-time rookie. I know he's a little bit disappointed with his finish, but he's also a Walsh rider and he's also a Williams rider. So for the engine program. So I think he did better than he thinks he did. Yes. He's got to give himself some credit. He held, I know Noah Arnell rode extremely good, and I know he's a pro rookie.
Yep.
You had Heath Hanna in there. I think he had some mechanicals, or he was
a crash
doing
on a mechanical,
well.
I think. Yeah.
Yep. But so Baldwin's up in there working with a bunch of these guys. We don't have Bryce anymore, but other people have stepped up and nobody could take that position that Bryce filled. But there was some good racing. So. We're missing Nick. And actually Nick raced this weekend. Just a side note, but yeah.
And so, he said we're going to see him a little bit. So
yeah. He's gonna. He can't stay away.
No.
This is what he does.
Right. Yeah. So you hit on a lot of good things there about the opener. I thought the same thing. I thought there was a lot of really good racing going on. Very hard to think that anybody's going to unseat Joel there. Obviously at the top, that goes without saying. I thought the battles for the podium were really good. Zach really impressed. I think Max was really strong, and typically Max doesn't come out of the gate for the season, ripping like sometimes we see him end the season. So I think on our shows, we were kind of impressed with the way that he started his season really strong. I think I kind of had the same thing, Mike. The people that listened to the season preview show would have heard me say that, I thought Joel, Zach, and Mason were going to be our podium guys at the opener. So I do think that and I teased this in a post yesterday, that I think that Mason's going to get a podium at one of these first races. He's just such a gnarly dude that I did leave the opener wanting a little more from him, but I definitely think that we're going to see it here in the near future. I hope that Zach backs it up. And then you add Brandon to the mix. There's really a big five in this pro class right now with Joel, Hogue, and Max and Zach and Mason. That's kind of the big five that we're dealing with in the sport as it is right now. And I think that, that battle for those podium spots is going to be really gnarly every weekend. And it's going to be one of the battles to watch, one of the main battles to watch at all these races. So tell me a little bit more. I don't want to go too gnarly down deep into the Brandon Hogue thing, but I said on the review show that I was impressed with that opening moto, with the way that he was, doing a pretty good job of holding on to Joel in that opening moto until the white flag flew and he had that problem. And the reason why, it's not like we haven't seen him be able to shadow Joel a little bit when all the stars aligned, kind of like you said, but at that opening, we're talking about, it was basically Joel's practice track, and Brandon was able to kind of, within a couple seconds, match Joel there for a while. And Brandon even had said when him and Jeffrey jumped on our show that Deckers is a difficult place when you're not spending a bunch of time there to go think that you're going to shadow Joel or race with Joel at a track that he's been doing a lot of practicing at. So just the day didn't go the way he wanted, but I am semi-optimistic about, what his season may look like if they can figure out the gremlins of this. And I don't want to use this one round against them. Hopefully it's just kind of a fluke, but I was impressed with at least his riding in that opening moto, and we'll see what that means going forward here starting in Echeconnee.
Yeah, Brandon's going to be tough. He always is. Brandon's program has always been his worst enemy. Is it a dark cloud over his head? Only his career will tell. Hopefully, he can get things figured out and going. But yeah, I don't know. You say something about Joel about numerous people said that to me about Brandon staying with Joel. And I'm not saying that he wasn't. He was within a few seconds. But if you look at Brandon's mid-pack performance in the second moto, I believe, he wasn't able to make those passes. If you watch Joel come out in 7th or 6th or wherever he came out in the last moto, his passing was just mind-blowing. He and I talked to Joel after, and he said,
okay,
I knew, because I said, man, you scared me on that pass there. He said, I knew when he didn't set the bike up for the corner that I had already passed him. And that blew my mind, because I'm like, this guy is that calculated. And it wasn't a pass that he's like, oh, he's going to get him here. It was like, yeah, he's close, but I mean, and he just stuck it right in there. And I know Zach's not going to try to take out, Joel, and Joel probably knew that too, but still, you're dealing with open wheel vehicles. You're going into one corner in the same line. I mean, so my thing is that Joel was able to slice through that pack in a shortened moto, where Brandon, you didn't see that from. Now, I don't know if he was having mechanicals during that moto. I don't know that. Maybe he was having issues. I'm not sure. But I didn't see the passing from Brandon like I did with Joel. And a side note, I didn't touch on Max, and that wasn't because Max not one of my favorite guys. His performance kind of went, I guess, normal. Like I would kind of think it would have went. Like you said, he usually starts slow and ends up. But I told Chad when he was here, I'm like, this whole smaller gate thing is definitely going to help Max. And he ended up getting a whole shot, ended up leading laps.
Yep.
So I think without these big time guys that have stepped away, I think that just really opens the door for Max. And I think you're going to see Max on that podium quite a bit this year.
I think so too. I still think, and not to echo everything I've already said on previous episodes, but I still think that the second and the third spot, for my money, are going to go through Brandon and Max. And I think that Mason hasn't earned a podium yet. He will. And Zach hopefully earns more. Like you said, you hope that you see him back it up. And I think that that's going to be a really fun battle to watch, between those four guys for those two other podium spots. But for my money, I think that Max and Brandon, just because they both have now double digit, in the teens almost, I think Max has 11. I think Brandon has like 16 or 17 or something like that podiums to their career. So when you're looking at a guy like Mason who has none yet, and Zach who has one, they're going to kind of have to go through those other guys. That being said, I think you're kind of hitting the nail on the head. Between Brandon and Max, they should be looking at this like, man, I know they do. I know that they look at it this way, but I belong on the podium every single time based on their track record, based on that these kids are a little bit younger that they're racing against. That being said, the young kids are hungry as could be. And Mason is definitely hungry and itching to get over the hump. And Zach has now got a taste of it and, hoping to get more. So it should be really fun to see how that all plays out. And Echeconnee and Brian Jenkins, we had him on the last episode and was talking about the racing a little bit. And he said, he made a really good point that Deckers is a little bit of an outlier because people practice there. So there's a little bit of an advantage to the guys that race there. And now looking at the second round being a sand track, not everybody shines in the sand necessarily. So a little bit of an outlier. So maybe we get a true glimpse of of maybe the full scope of things at round 3 at Ironman. We'll see. But looking ahead to Echeconnee, Mike, so let's break it down in fantasy terms a little bit. So I'm going to give you your groupings. You're going to have to pick one guy at Echeconnee. So obviously we have Joel in tier 1. He's the only tier 1 rider. He's obviously would be on your team. So now tier 2 is going to come down to Max Lindquist or Brandon Hogue. So you got to pick one. I would assume I know who you're going to pick, but if you had to pick one of those guys, who are you going to pick at Echeconnee?
I'm picking Max.
So now this is another thing that we should hit on while we're talking about Max, the work stuff. Doing the work stuff, being so successful, racing out west, obviously comes in, I'm sure in great shape as he always is, but, racing, distance races like that, I was only going to help the situation. And I would think that all that work stuff should really help at Echeconnee too, right? I feel like that translates actually pretty darn well.
Yeah, I know. In my opinion, I think this work stuff is a confidence booster and builder for Max. I would never expect him to lose out on the West Coast. Not at his level at this point, and not at their level at this point. Maybe it is a different style racing. Maybe it's a few things he has to figure out. But once he figures it out, I think it's going to be pretty tough for those guys to compete with Max, just because of the different levels of discipline that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I think, Max is slowly turning into, I don't want to say a winner at this point, but he's slowly turning into, he is going to expect himself to be on that podium. And probably, and Wienen's, all right, look, you got Wienen in his corner, you got Jeremiah Jones in his corner, you got Binky in his corner, you got Walsh in his corner, you got, a lot of good heavy hitters right there. And also his family, and his dad's just, I love his dad. His dad is one of the funniest guys that comes to my shop, because he's just he does not give a crap, and he just says it. And I love that. And that's actually between Mark Huber and Max's dad that I think are the two most humorous guys that come to my shop.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really like those guys. They're obviously a family that grew up, just in my neck of the woods here, and always cheering for Max. It's so funny. I enjoy so much listening to Max because I hear Chad. I hear like in the way cadence and the way he talks, like the things he says. It's pretty darn cool. So okay, so we're going Max Lindquist tier 2. So tier 3. Zach Decker, Mason Jackson, Joey Norris, Noah Arnold. Who are we picking in tier 3?
Do I get just one pick or two?
Just one pick in that tier.
Just one pick between Mason and Zach.
No discredit to the other guys, but
no. Honestly, if I'm gonna put my money on it, and I don't want to do Zach dirty like this, but if I'm gonna put my money on it, I'm gonna put my money on Mason because of past results last year. Personally, that's where I would put my money. Now, if I was going to put my heart on it, might go somewhere else.
It's hard to pick, right? That's the whole goal, is to make these selections hard. That being said, I too, and I want Zach to back it up. I was so happy for him at the first race to get that first podium for him. But I'm of the same thinking that Mason, one of these weekends, Mason is going to get over the hump, and Mason is good enough that if he can get some starts and, kind of put things together after that, he could go on a run. You never know. He's a dog, man. He's a dog. And I just love his riding style. Love his no quit attitude. Doesn't matter if he starts in last or first, like, he's always going to be in the mix at the end. And you talked about TDR. I mean, Timmy's got such a great program over there. Those bikes seemingly work awesome. Yeah. Mason has a lot going for him for sure.
Well, I was going to touch on the programs, and it's not, and I actually, Kevin worked at our shop. I work closely with Kevin, and I love those guys, but Kevin, Zach and Kevin's program, they think out of the box a lot. Okay. They're very open-minded thinkers. They're always looking for something new.
Okay.
Where on the TDR side, I look at that more as like a Baldwin type of program, where we're going to run things we know work. We're not venturing out of the box.
Okay.
And it's going to be, we're going to finish every race. Mm-hmm. There's not going to be any mysterious gremlins. Okay.
Yep.
So I would also put that on a check for Mason, just because I think that they're more conservative. I think their tune-up's a little bit more conservative than Zach's. And that's not necessarily always going to prevail. But I think if we're looking for just consistency, I think that Jackson's program is pretty solid.
Yeah, I think, like you're saying, I want to make sure that everybody takes this the right way. Both of the programs are awesome, that you can tell. They're podium worthy programs, but yeah, I think very highly of both their programs, TDR included. Okay. Tier 4, Damian Hubert, who, like you said, was awesome at the opener. He should be holding his head very high for that 7th overall in his rookie debut. I said, and I'll say this again, I said it on previous episodes, that it's nobody's fault. It's not these rookies' faults that there was, only whatever number of guys at the opener. It doesn't matter. I thought Damian rode awesome. He finished 7th. So there is no shame in that. I want him to hold his head high. And I would look forward to a Florida boy doing well at the opener at Echeconnee. But so this tier is Damian Hubert, John Glotta, who I would think should be strong at this one as well, being a GNCC guy, Adam Ulrich, Marshall Smith, Heath Hanna, Cale Deal is in for this one. So cool to see Cale out there. Juan Ondichu also in the mix. I don't know if he's going to be at this first race, though. Billy said on previous episodes he would be a guy to watch. All the Argentinians over the years, all those guys that come from down there, Mike, are really good in the sand and are always really good at Echeconnee, dating back as long as I can remember. So who are you thinking in that tier? And Damian comes in as the favorite. I mean, it goes without saying. We moved Noah up. I'll be frank. I moved Noah up after the opener because I thought that every single person would pick Noah. So it's almost like these two should almost be divided maybe into 2 tiers, and maybe we'll have to do that going forward. But we're going to see how it works out for round 2 with having this tier here. So Hubert, Glotta, Ulrich, Smith, Hanna, Deal, Ondichu if he's there. Who are you picking?
I'm going with Hubert.
Yeah, you have to. He's the favorite.
I mean, it was tough between Glotta because Glotta, but see, this isn't Glotta's main deal. This is a sideshow for Glotta. Obviously, in the woods, if this was reversed, I would pick Glotta. But right. Since it's not, I'm going to go with Hubert because they got the fire. I know that he's battling, he's a young guy and he's trying to, make his mark. Mm-hmm. And I know he really wants that Rookie of the Year, and I know he can get it. So I'm not gonna Pete Rose this. I'm not gonna bet against the people that I know that are giving it everything they got. And I know the kid's got the talent. So if he can just, get through, break through, and get that confidence he needs, I think he's gonna be there every time.
Yeah, Pro Sport National Champ from a year ago. He is going to, he proved it in the first race. And I think that first race, I can't, we've both been there before. Your rookie race as a pro, you come in with so many emotions, and it's the realization of a dream, a lifelong dream for him and his family. So to kind of put that first chapter to bed and put that behind you, now we can just go race. And I think you're going to see big things from him. If I'm going to play devil's advocate, I would think that John Glotta, obviously a woods guy, but I would think we've seen him do really well at some of these races in the past. And I said to Billy and Brian, it's hard to pick against the guy because he's almost always won his tier in ATV Fantasy when he's been there. And I would think that at a race like Echeconnee, that's about as strong conditions you could have for a GNCC guy as you could ever have at a motocross race, right? So he's going to be a guy to watch, and I'm sure he's not going to get tired. So if I'm going to make an argument for Glotta, that would be my argument.
Okay, so with Glotta, I see 2 things. One, he's very tall. Okay. So that's going to help his sprint speed, but it's going to hurt him in the longer motos. And the reason why is because his seat to rear end is higher than a shorter rider. So that's going to be much more work on your quads. Okay, so I think it's going to help him with his sprint speed, but I think it's going to be hard for him to handle that gnarly track for 25 minutes. Yeah. But like you said, he's in shape, and we'll see what type of shape he's in.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see. Okay, so I think I'm almost certain that we had you on about this time last year about Echeconnee, because I remember talking with you about Echeconnee because we talked about in some of the memories, and I actually shared a clip from National Born Killers today on our page, and I for whatever reason, like Jeremy Lawson was good there. I think about you guys slaying it at Echeconnee. Just like the riding style, the black quad, the helmet, the TLD helmet, like all the things. So I have so many memories. Like as a kid, Echeconnee was one of the ones that was like iconic to me. And I love that ATV motocross is going back there nowadays. So tell me a story about Echeconnee, Mike.
Well, this is going to be a story that you and I, it came to me like this. Okay. I have many stories from Echeconnee, but I actually have 3 stories. Okay. Let's hear it. The one story that I remember, because we were going to hit on Joe Byrd a little bit. Yes. Was I went to Echeconnee. I was racing in a pro class on 250R. I wasn't that fast. I was, one of these 15th, 16th place guys. And Travis Spader was there on his new ride with Duncan, I believe.
Okay.
And I think it's when he left Byrd Cycle, and God bless Byrd. I don't know if you all know, but Izzy passed away, which he was one of the first believers in Walsh racecraft. So
okay.
Hats off to Izzy and all that and the crew, Byrd Cycle. But Joe Byrd was on East Coast ATV, Dave. I don't know if you remember Dave, but
I sure do. Yeah.
Okay. So he was on an all candy red 250R, and he was flying with the big wheels on the front. And he was probably your fastest rider, but I believe Travis won that race. I think that he won that race. But Joe was very fast that year there. And I don't know what year that was. I mean, we're talking 99, maybe.
That's what I was going to guess. 98, 99, yeah. 2000, something.
I don't know what year Travis won, but I think it was that year.
I don't know what it was. It was something about Echeconnee, something about Macon, Georgia, something about the sands, something about, I don't know. It just seemed like the baddest dudes were the guys that really shined there. And that probably goes without saying. But
yeah, Doug Gust was a monster there, and he was there on the DRZ Suzuki.
Yeah.
I think it was white. This is a different year, but I think it was red, white, and blue was the first year they ran the DRZ.
Yeah, red frame, white plastic.
That's right.
Yeah.
With the 86 looking. And I believe he won there, or he was definitely top there. I have a personal story there when I raced there. I had my orange Walsh Racecraft low frame KTM 250R Gen 1 based 520, the real tall Eiffel Tower motor.
Okay.
I was racing the open class, and I was also racing my CRF 450 Gen 1 Walsh, the one I won Anaheim on, or one of just like that. But that, I'll tell you what, the CRF was better than the 520 there.
Was it?
The 520 was better at in California with the big hills, and it had a lot of speed, but man, that CRF had the explosive power.
Oh, sure.
Because I remember I couldn't get over one of the jumps with the 520 because it was just it didn't want to get up and go, where that CRF just boom, got up over it.
See, and I might have thought about it differently because of all the torque, but it wasn't explosive enough.
It wasn't explosive enough. It was a long rod, and long rods characteristically, like a diesel, rev slowly.
Right.
So once you got that thing going, it was a freight train, runaway freight train.
Yeah.
But, top speed is probably 99, 100 miles an hour. But, the CRF probably, 75, 80 miles an hour. But getting there, the CRF was much quicker.
Gotcha.
And then I have another story when, obviously with the Jeremy Lawson, with the turning heads. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that picture, but it was me and Jeremy's race team. He was the rider. Yep. I was the team manager and wrench, and it was my family and his family, and it was small time racing against the big time teams, Suzuki, Jeremiah, Doug, and he ended up beating Jeremiah Jones there in the moto and winning that moto, which I believe was a qualifier.
It was. So I'll share this because I just watched this last night on my computer, digging up info. So yes, it qualifier, but there was a bunch of good guys in there. I mean, obviously Jeremy was in there, and I believe Timmy Farr was in there, and the Bumblebee Harold Goodman, and Jeremiah, and Chad Weenan was in there. I mean, the list goes on. There were a bunch of good guys.
Yeah, man, that start that that race you post. I think I reposted it. I try to repost both stuff, but I saw that start, and I actually saw myself behind Jeremy. Yeah. And he's on it kind of on the outside. But dude, can you believe the riders there?
I know, right?
I mean, these are top tier animals all lined up on that gate.
They're like one name guys, like you can name them all by first name, and they're
pretty
all
much
legends. Yeah. So, and that was my one fear about posting it, is I didn't want everybody to be like, oh, the sport used to be so good, because
I hear you.
Because I come from like, and this is what I've been echoing, and I don't know that I've said it on social media or on the podcast enough, but like to my family and my group is I'm just glad that we have anywhere to race. Like I come from Wisconsin where there is no local series anymore. And it's basically like, if I'm going to race, I got to go to the nationals. And I said the same thing at the national banquet that I was, the host for, or whatever you want to call it, on the mic for last year. I'm like, I am so glad that 20 years ago, when all I wanted to do was race my four-wheeler, 25 years later, as a 33-year-old dude, I can still race my four-wheeler. I'm just so glad that we still got this. So that's my main thing. I'm just so glad we got somewhere to race. That being said, man, those clips, and I'm going to hopefully post a race or a moto every day this week leading up to Echeconnee because I love them so much. But you're exactly right. Every single one of those guys from the inside gate to the outside gate are guys that won championships and won titles and won races. And like I said, just one name guys. If you say Joe or you say Jeremiah or you say John or you say Doug, I mean, they're just, the list goes on.
Yeah. And, honestly, what you really got here is you have pioneers of the sport. Yeah. They're all pioneers of the sport. They're all pioneer riders, and there's pioneer builders, and there's pioneer companies. But those are all pioneer riders and developers. I mean, look at Tim Farr. I've been hanging out with Timmy a little bit.
Have you?
And okay. Shane, yeah, and great. I mean, they're awesome. I
love that. Love that.
It's insane. They're like the same, pretty much the same people they were. I mean, that's the type of mentalities we're dealing with here. I'm the same. They're the same.
Yep.
So. Yep. But we just don't, race. Well, actually, they do race competitively. Shane drives the dirt late model, and Timmy, he was very, very fluent in the side-by-side stuff. I think he was factory Can-Am and, all that stuff, racing. So they are still racing, but nothing is the four-wheelers. Shane's, I talked to Shane, and the dude is still so passionate.
I know he is.
About the four-wheelers, and I love that, and that's what it takes. And you hear these guys talking about, there's no money anymore, or whatever. Dude, when we were building the sport, there was no money in it. This is what you did to stay off drugs, to stay healthy, to stay off your phone, which there wasn't even phones back then.
Yeah.
But this is just who you were. This is just what you did. You just wanted to prove that you were somebody. You just, you could, and that's what I love. But I get it. We all need to make money, and we all need to, and all that. So I don't knock that. I'm just saying, though, I think you're going to see a lot more, younger guys in the sport, and a lot more. And once they reach a certain year, they're probably going to go to college, or they're probably going to go to a job or a career or something else, just because they know they're not going to sit there and chase this dream till they're, 40. It's just not going to happen right now, and it could happen in the future.
We'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. The official tire choice of Digging Deep, CST tires are the choice of ATV racing's elite on the track, in the woods, and every other terrain. CST tires swept the ATV racing world in 2022 as Joel Hetrick, Bryson Neal, and Bo Barron rode their Pulse MXR and Pulse HT tires to an ATV Pro Motocross title, GNCC XC1 Pro title, and 10th ATV Pro Works Racing title, respectively. Led by champion Joel Hetrick and podium contenders Bryce Ford, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Nick Janusa, CST's Pulse MXR tire is the most trusted tire in ATV motocross today. Available in soft and standard compounds, the Pulse MXR offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. And did I mention they have a contingency program as well? Visit shop.csttires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. The best of the best choose CST. Do you? You know we're Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, as the Yamaha YFZ450R is the official ATV of Digging Deep. In a move started by 8-time ATVMX Pro Class National Champion Chad Wienen, who with his next championship will become the winningest champion in ATV motocross history, we are living in ATV racing's YFZ 450R era. Alongside Wienen, 7-time GNCC XC1 Pro ATV National Champion Walker Fowler welcomed a pair of new champions to the Yamaha Champions Club as the podium-proven Yamaha YFZ 450R proved to be the winning choice for Joel Hetrick and Bryson Neal. This unprecedented success for the YFZ 450R, its unrivaled quality and performance, and the clear fact that Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing has resulted in a complete Yamaha takeover within the sport quad market. Evident by the continuation of Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program, Yamaha riders will once again cash in on payout and prize opportunities in 2023, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ 450R. For more info, head over to YamahaBlueCrew.com. Follow Yamaha Outdoors as well as the new Blue Crew official channel on social media, and check out Yamaha's full proven off-road lineup at YamahaOutdoors.com today. SSI Decals, your way. SSI Decals sets the standard with the best looking decals, graphics kits, and vinyl wraps in the industry. Established in 1947, SSI took shape as an offshoot of their parent company by doing a little work for local pro Chad Wienen. Nearly 2 decades later, and fueled by a passion for ATVs, the company has flourished into one of ATV Moto's most recognized brands. From ATV motocross, SSI has expanded into graphics and design work for top racers in GNCC, Works Racing, Pro Motocross and Supercross, Off-Road, and more, headlined by 8-time world champion Top Fuel drag racer Clay Milliken. Whether your project is big or small, SSI Decals will make your identity stick. Get started today at SSIDecals.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 for 10% off at checkout. Things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast is brought to you in part by DID and their wide range of championship-winning chains. From the street to the track and everywhere in between, DID chains are designed to give you the optimal riding experience with great performance and increased chain life. Consistent to the core, pick up your box of reliability today. DID, what drives you? For over 150 years, Valvoline has been dedicated to constant improvement and innovation across all disciplines of racing. As a proud member of Team Valvoline for nearly a decade, I have witnessed their unwavering commitment to pushing the boundaries of performance. Valvoline has sponsored some of the greatest names in motorsports, solidifying their position as a powerhouse within the industry. Being a part of this historically great team has been an incredible privilege. When it comes to my equipment, whether it's my daily commuting vehicles, race quads, or anything in between, I trust nothing but Valvoline. Their range of products and lubricants consistently deliver increased horsepower, durability, and engine life. I'm excited to announce Valvoline's breakthrough in performance, Valvoline Ultimate Power Sports. With up to 8 times stronger rust protection and 50% better wear protection, this cutting-edge formula ensures your ATV's engine runs smoother and longer for the ultimate ride. Tackle rugged terrains with confidence knowing your ATV's engine is equipped with the best protection available. Ready to experience the next level of performance? Head over to shop.valvolineglobal.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 at checkout to unlock an exclusive 10% off on your purchase. Don't miss out on this limited time offer to enhance your ATV's performance with Valvoline's Ultimate Power Sports engine oil.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Mills, president of DP Brakes North America and proud partner of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. We at DP Brakes are a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology, dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheel racers on the planet. This year's lineup includes Jeff Rastrelli, Mark Baldwin and Baldwin Motorsports, Ford Brothers Racing, Nick Janusa, and many more, including Mr. Digging Deep himself, Cody Jansen, plus all the top 17 GNCC pros such as 7-time champion Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and previous champion Chris Borich. These top riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer, products that ultimately help place them on top of the podium week after week. DP brakes are available through www.dp-brakes.com, or you can purchase them through your local Parts Unlimited stocking dealer, or you can even message us, myself, Larry Mills, or DP Brakes on Instagram or Facebook. And if you have any questions about product or sponsorship support, please ask us. We are waiting for you. Join the best ATV riders in the world equipped with DP brakes, and have a great year, everyone.
Headlined by the 4130 Chromoly, Launderville Steel and Concrete Supply is a full-service steel supplier of new and surplus steel, aluminum, and stainless steel products. This racing family-owned full metal service center and concrete product supplier comes with over 30 years of experience serving the entire United States from their central Midwest location. As the number one choice for nationwide shipments and with available next-day delivery in select areas, LSE has you covered near or far. 4130 is not just the chromoly tubing and plate used in the building of chassis for an array of motorsports applications, but it is also the name of the newest addition to the Pro Paddock with riders Jaden JJ Launderville and Max Lindquist, introducing the new 4130 Motorsports team. Launderville Steel offers a large selection of material for any project, including their concrete division that can supply everything you need to complete your next business or personal project. For a quote or more info, visit laundervillesteel.com today or give them a call at 715-675-6193. That's 715-675-6193. With a desire to keep you in the race, Ultimate Poly Products offers the Ultimate Protection collection of case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Founded on quality in 1998, this family-owned and operated business produces products created by racers for racers. These industry-leading products are proudly made and manufactured in the USA, with their case savers being made of the highest quality American-made polyurethane on the market and designed to completely conform to your engine case to help prevent case damage from a thrown chain, because no one wants to be a spectator on race day. Join top pro riders like Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, John Glotta Jr., Adam McGill, Cole Richardson, and more by using UPP Racing products. Use discount code DiggingDeep15 at uppracing.com to save on your next order. Ultimate Poly Products, made to last longer so you can ride more. Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show.
Well, I wanted to touch base on when you said you're happy that there's still a sport, and I definitely am. I mean, my whole business, my whole life revolves around this stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
But I actually been riding on my little back track, and I've been riding that CRF, and I love that thing, man. I really love that thing. It reminds me of my Gen 1 that I won Anaheim on, and I beat Corey on it on TT, and when we come down to that knife fight there at the very end, and then the Montreal Supercross there, and I just love that CRF was just so cool. And this thing reminds me of it, but just I actually like it better. But it's got the CRF 450 linkage in it, which is really cool. It's the only one I ever built like that.
Okay.
And Global's going to do a little work to it. But I actually said, you know what? I should race, because I hung around with Mike Orella a little bit, and he's like so cool because he's got a beautiful track, and he hangs around, he gets top tier riders to come over and ride with him. And that dude is smoking fast. Don't let him fool you. Okay. He is fast. If he came to a motocross race, he would be one of the fastest guys for the older guys. I mean, he's older than me, but the dude's in shape. He's clean. He's clean cut. He's clean living. Yeah. And he rolls. And but I was like, because he always invites me over to ride and stuff, or invite me to go to one of these FTRs, and I'm like, sure. And I'm actually thinking about it now. I'm like, you know what? I should race one of these FTRs. I never raced cross country really, but I grew up in the woods. A lot of us grew up in the woods, riding trails. And I'm like, man, I'd love to do that stuff. But and so maybe if I get a chance, maybe I'll go out and do the plus 40 or the something 50 or whatever. I love it, man. Just because there's not a lot of people. Like I said, there's not as many gates being filled. So, man, I'm not doing nothing better. I might as well participate. I don't think I could do the Nationals. The Nationals, that's too, you got to be a bad dude to do the Nationals.
So as he's listening right now, Jeremy Osborne is thinking, okay, I got to message Mike Walsh, because we got this vet Pro-Am race coming up, invitation only at Briarcliff later this fall. Now, you just opened his mind to having Mike Walsh involved. That'd be awesome. Oh man, maybe I'll do it. I'll see if I can get ready. I love it. I love it, man. So you mentioned the track. I got to obviously talk to you about Digger coming down there, building your track, riding on your track, riding the LTR, the whole deal. So tell me how this all comes together, because I get such a kick out of Digger, man. And you guys go back so far, but I get such a kick out of Digger because everything is on a whim. And he just seems like he's so lackadaisical about everything. He's like, you talk to him and you're like, I don't even know how to say it, but it's like, are you in touch with reality? He's just like floating around, just doing his thing. I love that about the guy.
Dude, like, honestly, Digger, hanging around with Digger, like I've golfed with Digger, I've hung with Digger.
Yeah.
But this time hanging around with Digger, I flew with Digger. I flew this time with Digger, but I flew in his plane last time. And this time we took my plane up. And I don't have my medical, but Digger's legal, so we were legal. So I flew left seat, he flew right seat, and we had a great time, and it was real fun. But Digger ended up dropping in. Just, you can't really tell if he's really going to come.
You can't ever pin him down, no.
Or when he's going to come.
Right.
But we got together. He stayed a couple days. I conned him into staying a couple days, and I don't really take no days off for nobody. Right. But Digger's here. I'm gonna take a day off. I hung out with Digger. We rented. Actually, my one of my good buddies, Squirrel Man, brought down his John Deere, and Digger went ahead and built some new jumps. And just typical Digger style, there's still a jump that I can't do on the track. So I'm like mad and happy because I'm like, man, I got to hit that. But I never really gear up or anything. I just go and just do stuff I know I can do, and helmet and stuff. But I'm like, I got to gear up and hit this jump now. And Digger's like, I texted him the other day. He's like, I don't think you should do that because you can't really stop, and because he did it on his dirt bike, and the dude is good on his dirt bike.
Oh, he's good. Yeah, he's strong,
dude. Like the dude's like flying on his dirt bike, and I'm like, and then he gets on the quad and he looked just like Digger. But, I don't think I think he enjoys the dirt bike just because something you don't really understand until you've done it. But like once you become this icon on something and then you kind of like let it go, it's hard to.
Yes.
It's almost nicer just to get on something else and have a new hobby. But, because everybody has expectations.
Yes, you don't have to be Digger on the dirt bike.
No,
you can just be Doug.
You could just be some dude doing motocross, right? So I get it, but when he got on that LTR, that was actually pretty classic because he is the LTR, So he got on the LTR, he looked like Digger, he rode like Digger, and he jumps like nothing. Digger. He jumps everything, and he's 60. Well, he'd probably be mad at me if I said that, but he's like late 50s, very late 50s. So, and I say that to compliment him because I'm 49. So he's 10 years older than me, and he's in better shape.
I love the dude, man. There's just, there'll never be another. And like I said, you guys got such a track record. I mean, to think about, the DRZ and all of that. And then, all these years later, he's building the track at Walsh Racecraft and, spinning laps with you guys. And it's just, that's the coolest thing to me.
It was iconic. And one last thing with Digger. This is the thing that blows my mind about Digger. If you hang out with Digger, say you go out to dinner or something, this dude don't even know he's Doug Gust.
I know. Oh, trust me.
He has no idea. He has zero ego.
I know.
He's crop dusting. He's flying. He's taking care of his wife. He's not Doug Gust, the four-wheeler racer. He has literally moved on. And that's how I know he is so mentally healthy, because to be able to cut ties with something that you were so great at and totally move on and be great at what you moved on to, that takes a strong guy.
Well, but Mike, and this, I mean, as well as I do, but in his absolute heyday, when he was, the icon, he was a god at the racetrack to all of us, but I mean, he was still a dump truck driver at home who it was. And then, fast forward a few years. And again, these stories, but it's the, hey, don't tell Suzuki, but I gotta go do some excavating. You know what I mean? Like, it's just he never had an ego. And that's, I guess, what makes Digger.
Yeah. I mean, he's really, he's really cool. Like everybody's cool in their own way, but Digger's very, very, very special. Like I could talk about somebody that only raced quads and still at 70 is just racing quads. And I'd have a lot of great things to say about that as well. But Digger is just, I try, I'm learning from him. I think, honestly, you want to touch on Joe a little bit? Yes, I think if Joe could have been a little bit more like Digger and I think it would have been more healthy for him to be able to maybe still be Joe Byrd and still be two-time national champion, a multinational winner, but yet kind of find yourself in something else that you had heart into, so he could have, because I was close to Joe. I mean, but to be able to not have to be so ATV and then plug into something else and have that vision, I think it would have helped Joe. I mean, cancer sneak up and get into any of us at any time, but I just think that he would have been happier and if he could have found something that he had attached to. Now he did, he was an incredible pilot. Like Joe, I've flown with Joe many times, and that dude could fly anything, and he was a natural at it, just like he was with the ATV racing. Yeah. And last time I saw Joe, man, I cried like a baby. I couldn't believe it. It was tough because we're close to the same age. He was, 4 or 5 years older than me, but that could have been any of us sitting there. And he was just, it was just so bad. It was undescribably bad. And, I don't wish cancer on anyone or any type of these diseases or anything, because it's just not fair, really. And life's not fair. I get it, but it was really bad. And I was glad I was able to see Joe, because he personally asked me. He wanted to see me before he passed. He knew he was passing, and he took it like a champion, just like he took everything else. And it was positive. He was positive. And I know he probably had his, low moments and stuff personally with Mallory and stuff. But when he was with everybody, he was positive, and he was, I don't want to say happy, but he was happy. And he went through some serious stuff in those last days. But I mean, me and Joe, like I said, he was an excellent pilot. I know he was he got his commercial pilots. I think he did some crop dusting with Doug a little bit. I think he did everything. I think he had his jet rating, his multi-engine. I mean, he really did take the flying to just like the ATV race, and he took it to the top. I just don't think he attached to it. I think his heart was always in ATV racing. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. And he did a lot with it. And when the training he did with other people, and I mean, I think he trained Wimmer. Yep. I know he trained Nick. I know he trained, some of the greatest to ever do it. It has worked, with Joe.
Yeah, Clay Holmes and a bunch of Argentina guys. And I mean, a lot of good guys. And you're right. It's kind of connecting the two. It was awesome to have Digger on our show talking about Joe. Obviously, the whole situation is so tragic. We got so many messages of people that really enjoyed the way that we remembered Joe. And we continue to do that here. And you're a guy I wanted to talk to, in remembrance of Joe. So I'm so glad that we're getting to do this now. So Digger, thing about Digger is when he hung it up, he just ripped the Band-Aid off. He decided it wasn't worth it, and it was over. And that's awesome for Digger. I mean, he went on and he's been successful, and he's so in such a great place in life, and it's awesome. Joe, kind of the opposite, right? Where he hung on and hung on and hung on and hung on. And honestly, Mike, I love that too, because I want my heroes in the sport to love the sport as much as I do. I mean, you're, like you said, you're 49 and I'm 33. And I mean, we're like, ATV racing is I don't want to say it in an unhealthy way, but like it's my whole identity. And I'm sure for a lot of your identity too, right? Like, again, it's your livelihood. It's Walsh Racecraft. It's one of the most iconic brands in the sport. Like, you and ATV racing are synonymous forever. So I want my heroes to live with, like, not be able to give it up. I want to think that they love it as much as I love it. And that was Joe. He won those 2 titles in 2006 and 2007. And I was still racing with him in 2016 or 2017 or whatever the case may be. And, he was still hanging on and, battling. I don't know what year that was, if it was 14 or 15. I don't think I was in the pro class yet. So maybe it was even earlier than that. Maybe it was 13 or something. And Joe's like fast qualifier at Budds Creek, and it's like, and it's just, it's the coolest thing. So Joe was a lifer, and the other thing that is so cool that I'm so happy that he got was that whole Legends race thing, because he got to come back and do that and be introduced to the fans again. And I felt like after that, it was almost like it was a whole new chapter for Joe, because so then he comes back and he races Loretta's the next week. And it's just like, I don't even know how to describe it, but I'm just so glad that he got that, because it was an all new, like, I don't need to be like pro class Joe Byrd. I can still be at the races. I can race 50 plus. I can win 50 plus at Loretta's. I can be around the racing and involved and still show face. And because Joe Byrd, a person like Joe Byrd, an icon like Joe Byrd, means so much to these races. Having him there is so special. Same with Digger and any of those guys. And I guess to tie a bow on all that, because I'm getting long winded, but I'm so glad that Joe got that at the end. At the time, we didn't know that it was going to be, the end, his last appearances at some of these ATV races. But I'm so glad that he got that, because if he would have never got that, like hindsight, if there was a alternative universe where he didn't get any of that to end his racing career, quote unquote, that's a sad thought to me, because I think that really filled up his cup. And I thought when we had Nick on to talk about Joe, Nick DeNoble, and that was awesome. I mean, Nick's so passionate, and to hear some of those behind the scenes things that there was.
He spent a lot of time
he spent
Joe.
A lot of time with Joe, and Nick said it perfectly, that Joe loved being Joe Byrd. The opposite of Doug, right? Where Doug's oblivious to being Doug Gust.
Yeah.
Joe loved being Joe Byrd. And even to his dying day, to his deathbed, Joe got to be Joe Byrd. And as Nick said, he fucking loved that.
He did. And that's
awesome.
You say that and listen to me. He was signing autographs like on hospice.
I know.
The thing you said it the best, and Nick said it the best, and here's the deal. If you never been to Joe Byrd's house, okay, you drive up the driveway, there's a huge red number 7, okay, and he's got 2 massive buildings. Well, one massive building, one a little bit smaller. Mm-hmm. The massive building has numerous high-end ATVs hanging from the ceiling. There's big number 7s and number 1s and all the titles he's won and hanging everywhere. And then his workout room, his hot tub room, and then upstairs he's got a theater, probably so he can watch himself win races.
I love it, man.
But he's got 3 of his high-end DASA championship winning. You can't buy this stuff because it doesn't exist. Right. And then in one other room, he's got like 8 TRXs all built. You're right. He held on to it. No, I can't believe he didn't paint it, one of his planes red with a big number 7 on the tail.
That would be fitting. That would have been fitting. He was on his way to do that.
Yeah, probably. So. No, definitely. And, I lost contact with Joe for the last few years. But if he ever called me, that's how it kind of all happened. Chris Fristo texted me he DM'd me, and he's like, dude, you really need to check on Joe. Because I went to Brett's house, the Banshee channel, and and I brought up the electric bike, and this is how I found out about it all. And I went there, and of course Joe had been there. Joe was one of the first people to go there.
Sure.
I think Joe went and seeked him out. So Joe went, did all this stuff with him, and Joe showed me all this stuff, and I was just like, I don't know why, but I was just like, whatever. I just, for some reason it didn't like click. And then finally I end up going to Brett's, and it's awesome. Brett's awesome. And his family's awesome. And the Banshee channel's just killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I experienced it. And I said, oh, you see Joe lately? And he said, no, I talked to him, but he's having some problems with his kidney or something. And I'm like, I just thought it was just Joe,
yeah. You don't automatically go to dire situation.
No, I just thought it was something, curable, just nothing major. So I did text him leaving Banshee channels, and he was still Joe Byrd. So I knew I said, I was at, why didn't you invite me? I'm only right up the road. Why didn't you come see me? And well, I'm like, Joe, I'm doing stuff, man. I'm like, because he'd always be real pushy, and that's how Joe was. He'd just come to your house, if you were, if you said, no, I'm not going to be here, he'd show up,
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then, but no, so then I did that whole tour there where I went to Banshee Channels. I went to Ginger Billy's house, which was really cool.
How cool is that? Yeah.
That was awesome. He was just really cool. Like that guy. Actually, I want to go to a couple of his comedy tours. I think they're coming to Jacksonville. He made me feel right at home. And you know what? That dude's a legend. Like his acts are our acts, but dude, they're one takes. He's not two taking.
It's him though. It's just him.
Yeah. He goes from normal Ginger Billy to like stage Ginger Billy, which they're the same character. They're just amplified.
Yeah.
And boom, that's it. I mean, they do all these projects. He's a celebrity, man. The guy's. Mm-hmm. So then I went to Nick's, and then I come back and I'm eating lunch, and Fristo texts me. It's like a week later or something. He's like, dude, you really need to check on Joe. This is like he's not good. So I immediately text him, and Joe's like, I'm like, dude, are you got something going on with your kidney or something? And he's like, what'd you hear? That's what he says. He's like, what'd you hear? I said, I heard you weren't doing good. You got cancer or something. And then he sends me this long thing back about like that he's really not doing good. And then so I immediately called him, and we had like a 2-hour conversation.
Oh, wow.
And I was getting teary-eyed and stuff because he was just, another guy that you looked up to, that you raced with, could be an enemy, could be, but he's on planet Earth with you, and you all are involved in the same stuff. You're doing the same stuff. And he's getting ready to fight the battle of his life. And I told him, don't give up. And, who knows, God can, you don't know what God's plan is, man. He might have a different plan than you dying. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. But, Joe would never give up. He didn't give up. And, I did go up there. I did spend time with him. I left. We planned to go to the party at Brett's house, mm-hmm. and Jackie Meadows was there, and everybody's going there. We're all on our way there, and Joe
passed away.
Yeah, passing. So I think that the whole party gave him, because I was talking to Mallory quite a bit at the time, it gave him hope. It gave him a vision, and he really wanted to go to that party. And Joe, it was a really good party, so you missed out. But but no, I'm sure he was there. Mallory actually, we did a Zoom meeting with him, with Mallory and everything. So
awesome.
It was cool, and I met some people that I didn't know. So Joe Byrd lives. You said it. He lives quad racing. He is quad racing. And he is an icon in quad racing, a legend in quad racing. Love him or hate him, he's Joe Byrd.
Now, this is the coolest thing, and I guess that's what you saying that jogged my mind, because, he was such a polarizing figure, just like you said, love him or hate him. But I feel like these last chapters of his life, in his life in ATV racing, I don't know how you could not like the guy, he's just, again, so passionate. And he was Joe Byrd. He was so gnarly. He took everything to the extreme. He also took and it's not my place to say this because it's not like we're best friends or anything like that, but he took being a friend to an extreme too. And there was a lot of people that said things of that sort because there's people that said he had never missed like a birthday wish on Facebook and stuff like that. But I could kind of attest to that because, I was a kid that went to the Joe Byrd riding school like a million other people. Fast forward, I ended up, racing Joe Byrd for a while in the middle of the pro class late in his career. And then fast forward to like having him on the show, and he loved that because he got to be Joe Byrd and tell his story. And, he loved all those things. And then fast forward to more, since then. And I would just get random texts from Joe, about God knows what, but it was stuff that he shouldn't have even known about. Like, hey, I heard that you're on the mic for the banquet. You're going to do a great job. Or I listened to, the Briarcliff broadcast on YouTube. Man, you're awesome to listen to. And, listens to random episodes of our show and sent us cool messages and just stuff like that. And to think that, again, it was Joe Byrd and I was getting that from him. Like that's a really special thing to me. I thought he was God when I was a kid. He was Doug Gust to me. It was Doug Gust and was Joe Byrd. And to come full circle to the end where he was a friend. And I remember after the Legends race, and we had him on leading up to the Legends race, and he got to talk his smack a little bit. And afterwards, he's like, he shoots me a random message one night, middle of the night. He said something like, and I should look it up in my phone, but he said something like, how about that old dirty Byrd? Just like old times. And it's like, man, I just, again,
number one qualifier.
Right. Exactly. It's like, I don't know. I love it. Like Doug Gust, there'll never be another Joe Byrd. I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful that the sport had him. I'm grateful for the times that I had with him and so many of us had with him. And I'm grateful to hear some of it from you here today, Mike, too, because I wanted to get you on that episode where we memorialized him a little bit. And this is perfect. And a perfect way probably to end our conversation tonight. I got more I want to talk to you about, but we'll have to save that for another episode.
Yeah, there's always, what, we can't talk about everything. Exactly. We gotta
save some. We got to save some. Exactly. But a great way to end it is talking about Joe, because we got a lot of love for the guy, and there's more stories to tell, I'm sure. So we'll have to get into that another day too. Absolutely. I've had a great time. I love, we all got a little Joe Byrd in us. You know what I mean? All these quad racers, we all got that, a little bit. But I love being on these shows. I love supporting the sport, not only with my product, but with the information that I could pass on to these riders or to these people that, or even parents or whatever. And what better way to do it than to be on, in my opinion, and I've always said this, I think you do have the most success. You're like the Joe Rogan of podcasts for ATV stuff. You put a lot of work into it, a lot of time into it. You got the right questions. You asked the right questions, And the thing that blows my mind about you is you're like, well, Hogue has 16 podiums and Max has 11. I'm like, how does he know this stuff? And I love that. And when I watched that episode where you're talking about who's going to be the first person that hasn't podium or something like that. So I enjoyed that episode and all that. But, I love this stuff. I live this stuff. It's crazy. My mom, she still roots for everybody, and some of the people she roots for are probably not even racing. But I love it. My brother, even though he's kind of silent, in it, he's still very passionate about the business. Without him, I don't know where we'd be. But even my girlfriend, she has to hear all my BS. So she probably wants to stab me with an axe because I talk about ATV racing all the time. Same. But no, it's what we do. It's who we are, and it's nice to be able to help people in the way that we can help people. And like I said, you meet some awesome people. The coolest thing that I've done lately is as I met Brett and he's got no real ego or anything. He's just a dude out there working, doing his thing. And he's just got such an awesome collection. He's passionate about the sport, but he's also real. He has a great family. That's a great connect. That's a great person to, meet, and honestly, I met Ginger Billy. Because how I met him, I said, I seen that he was in ATVs. So I'm like, this is easy. I'm like, this is going to be, I'm like, dude, I'm in the, I love ATV. I'm like, I got to reach out to this guy. So I reached out to him.
dude reached out to me. We started talking, and I said, "Hey, I'm headed up north." I said, as I swing by, you probably want, maybe you could make a little video about the. Well, I didn't even say that. He asked me if he could make a video, but I just kind of thought that's what we were doing.
Okay.
I'm like, I just figured,
already assumed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And I had a Gen 1 CRF with me too when I went. It was my buddy Denny's, but he didn't ride that one, but he loved the electric bike, and it was fun hanging on. But that's what I mean. Just from ATV racing, it may be small, it may be niche, it may be, not a full gate right now, let's just call it. Yeah. But it's still awesome. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as the gates are dropping. We're going to be participating in some way.
Here's the deal, Mike. I will be going to those races until there's nobody left going. If I'm the last one going, or you and I are the last ones going, I'll be there, and then I'll come on these shows and talk about it, man. Like, I'm so proud. I love it so much, and I'm so proud of the fact that we're able to bring this content to ATV racing. Like, it just makes me so proud, and to have a guy like you on my show, and it's like, and again, you're an icon, and to have, all of your history and your, all the guys that you've, rubbed elbows with, wrenched on their stuff, like, just to bring that to ATV racing, to have people listen to Mike Walsh on my show, man, it just makes me so proud. So you're exactly right. I'm so grateful that we have the sport that we have, and that it shaped us into the people that we are. And it made my hair on my arm stand up earlier, because you said something that I think I'm probably about the only one that's ever said it on my show, is the only way to end up with $1 million racing is to start with 2, right? That's what I've always been told. So it's not about making $1. It's more like, again, like I got to, race up kind of through the classes, race pro-am, and you guys slashed my dreams when you rolled out Cody Gibson, and I thought I was going to win the title that year. And then Cody Gibson, you had to dash my dreams with that. And then I go pro, and then I raced a number of years of pro, and now I'm just going to race for fun. And like now in this stage of my career where I'm only, racing some races and all these things, throughout it all, I never lost the love for the sport that I love so much. I'm so grateful that we have that. I'm so grateful we can still be racing. I'm so grateful to have these opportunities, all this stuff. But you said something that resonates with me, because it's what I say to all of these young kids. Hey, do you have any advice for my son? Do you have any advice for my daughter? And it's like, find something, whether it's ATV racing, and for you and I, it's ATV racing. For so many of our listeners, it's ATV racing, but it doesn't matter what it is. But find something that you're passionate about, and then dive the F in as deep as you can. Just like you said, and this is my exact belief, is that will keep you out of trouble. That will keep you from doing bad things, from, getting into drugs or, alcohol or whatever the case. Like, find something and dive as deep into it as you can. And it will, and more times than not, 99% of the time, only good's going to come from that. Like, these people aren't, these kids, whether you race as an amateur or youth, an amateur, make it to the pro class, whatever the case, whatever you take from ATV racing, it goes on to be used in the rest of your life, and not all of us are lifers in ATV racing, but every person that, dives into this thing like you and I have, and so many of our listeners have, take the things that they learn and utilize it in the rest of their life, whether it's, their hard work and work ethic and, all the things. But it translates, and it just resonated with me when you said, like, you find something, you dive in, it keeps you out of trouble. Like, the best thing that you can do is find something that you love. And I'm just so grateful. I had so much support. I'm grateful for my parents. Like, my parents took, the money that they didn't have and still got me to the races and let me do this thing. And I don't know, I'm getting long-winded.
Yeah. And honestly, everything you're saying is dead on. And that's what I tell these kids. I tell them the same thing. I even tell the parents, because,
same.
They're like, because now I'm the same age as the parents, and I've been doing this, and they might be coming in, and, but I'm telling you, like, if it doesn't matter if you race, if you win, it doesn't matter if you turn into Joel Hetrick or Chad Weenan, or if you, finish you only go to the B class,
exactly. Yep.
Because what you're going to take out of this is going to help you in every aspect of life, and it's going to keep you on the straight and narrow, because, man, you get so passionate about it. I go out there, I do 2 laps back there, and I feel I feel amazing.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, why haven't I been doing this? Like, it's awesome. And I get stuck on this jump. I'll be like, man, I gotta downside this. So I gotta, and I started to get like really into it. I'm like, what is going on with you? I'm like, who cares? It's just a dirt pile, you don't have to.
I'm the only one out here.
Right. But it's just personal that you just want to achieve it it's everything you said, but no, I'm with it, man. And I love it. So let's keep grinding.
Yeah, let's keep grinding. And Mike, I want to talk. We'll talk in the next few weeks here if you're willing to do this again, because I got a number of things on my list yet. But you're going to be there.
Coming to the race?
I'm not going to be at Echeconnee. Not going to be at Echeconnee. We'll be at. Then we got a break, and we'll be at a good share of them after that. But
okay, great.
Not going to be at Echeconnee, so that's good. We'll get you on. We'll talk about Echeconnee maybe in the next couple of weeks if you're game for it.
Yeah. Oh, I am, of course. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll have my notebook out over there.
I love it. Well, Mikey, I can't thank you enough for being here like every other time. Again, I'm so proud of these conversations. I love the passion that comes through the mic and comes through the video and these things. And I really appreciate you. You're such a busy guy. I appreciate you making a little time for us. So have some fun at Echeconnee. Safe travels up there and all the things. Good luck to all the Walsh riders. Thanks for all you do for the sport and all you do for us. And let's plan to talk in the next couple of weeks here, pal.
Awesome. Thank you.
Have a good night, Mikey. Thanks for everything. That's Mike Walsh signing off in the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast, brought to you by Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply. Have a good night, pal. Mikey's the absolute best. And man, I felt like I made such a compelling argument for John Glotta. But there's a GNCC race this weekend, and we all know where he's going to be. Damn it. Huge thanks to Mikey for joining the show as our featured guest this week. Thanks to producer Dallas Jansen, my brother, for all his hard work. Thanks to my wife, Brooke, and thanks to AMA officials Joe Messina and Harv Whipple. Thanks to all of our donors. Also, big shout out to Moto Mom for shooting for us at the races. She's the best. Thanks to all of our partners. CST Tires. Go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, DP Brakes, and Ultimate Poly Products. UPP Racing. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com. Support all the great brands that support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. Find it all on our website, and be sure to click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner for all your gear and parts needs and to help us out in the process. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. Shop our Digging Deep merch at shop.diggingdeepatvmx.com. Find all things Digging Deep ATV Fantasy related at atvfantasy.com. Congrats to our round one winners, Mike and Dakota Shull. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the show, 920-569-3519. If you're looking for another easy way to help support us, visit our website and click the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee buttons. This allows you to set up a one-time or monthly contribution to support our efforts. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and myself, Cody Jansen, for additional content, coverage, and more fun stuff as it is full steam ahead into a brand new season of ATV motocross. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. All episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links, and discount codes, show merchandise, fantasy info, and more can all be found on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com. So check that out today. Be a friend, tell a friend. Please download, subscribe, rate, review, and share. And with that, for Mike Walsh, Brooke Jansen, Dallas Jansen, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen. Thanks for listening to and making us the most listened to podcast in ATV racing, with more than 297,000 downloads last month in 141 total countries. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross. Things are crashing and burning here at the Digging Deep podcast, much like the Titanic.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gust, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
Quadlers are freaking gnarly.